What is up, everybody, and welcome to another wonderful blah 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 wonderful episode of the Break Room, brought to you by The Life of Gaming. Water cooler conversation in your face. And for those that are unaware with the Break Room, what we do, we kind of just talk about a different topic each episode. You know, kind of stretch out our topic of the week a little bit longer this way, give a little more breathing room.
We bring snacks, too.
We bring snacks, just enjoy ourselves. Kind of after the podcast, you know, different kind of feel than the show itself. But last night, it was like 11 o'clock at night. All of a sudden, Twitter just lit up like a Christmas tree.
Loved it.
I sent this to you, Chris, and you said, this can't be real. Nintendo announced a new 2DS XL. Which is crazy because people were wondering, like, what the 2DS is dead, or the 3DS, 2DS, oh, the whole family is gone because we have this. We've got the Switch now, right? We don't need that. We've got a new handheld. But I guess before we get into all these details about, you know, is it necessary or not, Chris, tell us the details on this. You know, when's it coming out? What is the price? What, you know, all that stuff.
Sure. So yeah. First off, it was a huge, just kind of like shock because we just had the Direct, right? We were talking about this, how normally when a Direct happens and they announce Kirby games, that pretty much means
the end, yeah.
that's
and they announced like 3 Kirby games or something crazy like that.
Yes, and so yeah, it kind of felt like we were seeing the tail off, and so then out of nowhere, and yeah, you sent this, and I didn't believe you, so I jumped on Twitter.
Does.
I'm like, this can't be real, but yeah, they announced a 2DS, what they're calling the new Nintendo 2DS XL, and it comes out on July 28th. In the United States, it's at a suggested retail price of $149.99. I've seen it. I think in Canada it's like 200 Canadian. I don't know what the yen is, but you can do the kind of conversion there. So far, they've announced, they've actually shown 3 systems total. The only one that they've shown for North America is a black case with blue trim, which looks good.
Yeah, it looks nice.
For Europe and Japan and Australia, they have shown a white console with orange trim, which is pretty much the only thing that I want now in my life.
This is the Spice Orange GameCube all over again. Right?
It is. It is. I mean, orange
Everybody gets it with us, right?
Orange is such a strange color, too, but it is my favorite color. I grew up a Gators fan, so it's been blue and orange my whole life. And my first car was orange. I love it. So, but yeah, so they have that. And then today, just out of flipping nowhere, they announced this special edition Dragon Quest system, which is like a black and a silver that actually has a slime kind of
popping out at the top.
Yeah, popping out at the top, and it looks fantastic. Like, it's great. So here's what you need to know about. Here's what you need to know about the system. It is basically a 3DS XL as far as it's 2 screens. It's the XL size, so it's the size of the XL screens. The
clamshell
process
design now too.
It's clamshell design, so it looks very similar to what you're used to seeing. It has the little C nub. So it has kind of the dual analog nub. It does have a built-in near-field communicator, so you can scan your amiibos now on the bottom screen, which you cannot do on the standard 2DS. It also has, it said that it has faster processing power, which we don't know all of what that even means, but we just assume that it's going to be processing things faster than it did. I mean, the new 3DS, kind of sped up just processing and computing power. So it's going to be a little bit faster.
Right. Think Hyrule Warriors 3DS versus new 3DS.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. But like the big thing is they took the 3D away. And look, this is not a surprise. They've been more and more games, especially first party games, have just not been having 3D. Like it just
Pokemon
isn't.
didn't have it. The new Pikmin doesn't have it. Yeah.
No, it's just not a selling point anymore. And so they're going to save some money, and they're going to release a system that is going to proliferate like this younger handheld market, which we'll get into in a minute. The only other thing to point out on the actual hardware itself, so it does have a headphone jack. It does have your stylus at the bottom. It also has what looks from the pictures. We haven't really seen it in action, but it looks very similar to the top of the Switch console, where this now has like a little door that you open up.
Yeah.
There's actually a little door on the bottom of the 2DS XL that houses both the game cartridge and the micro SD card, and they're like right next to each other under that slot. But it looks good. It's rounded edges. It's much thinner. It looks fantastic.
Sure. Now, I mean, really honestly, to kind of boil this all down, what you need to do, think of the new 3DS, and that's it.
Yeah,
because it's just the new 3DS without the 3D. That's pretty much all it is.
It looks better though.
Right.
It looks better.
Right.
The
Now,
design is better.
Brant, let's pull you in to this actually in the video I got pulled this way, so it looks like I'm pulling you in, right? So you're on this side. But with this, the moment I talked about this, you go, what are they doing? Now, what were your first thoughts on this? Because you were like, they're insane. Like, what was going through your mind when I told you this was happening?
I was like, classic Nintendo right here. How many iterations of the 3DS handhelds do we have now? Asking, I'm not sure.
We have 3DS. We have
XL.
3DS XL.
New
We
3DS.
have new 3DS.
New 3DS XL.
New 3DS XL.
2DS.
Then 2DS, and now the new 2DS XL. So 6 separate models that have been sold. Not to mention the variations in color.
Right.
Amongst those.
So I've been thinking about this a little bit more, and as much as I just like why to this at first, like you were, James, also, I'm assuming, I think that the financials are actually looking at it. It probably is a smart move on them just because how many 3DSs they have in the wild. Like, I don't even know what that number is. 70 million?
It's something like
something
that.
Like that.
It's crazy. Mm-hmm.
Let me look at
it. But with that many out, more options doesn't really make sense. Like, you think they want to sell through what they have. 3DS, of course, they're slowing down their game production. So
right.
It's this just seems like one last ditch effort, maybe just to bolster those sales. And looking at it, like Chris said, it's going to be more of like the children's handheld.
Mm-hmm.
I never liked 3DS line. The game. I'm not talking about the game selection because I think they have a great vast variety of first party titles and indie games, but overall, just design wise, I've never liked those systems. I think were inferior when they first released, and I don't really know what to say. As a Switch owner, I just wish that they would devote all their time into the Switch. All these resources they're pulling for the 2DS, I don't understand that. But financially, it could be something that works out for them in the long run. I guess what they're trying to do is say, hey, this 2DS is going to be your portable system, and we're still keeping with the console for the Switch, which I view the Switch more as portable anyway. So,
sure.
Whatever. I mean, I don't really know what to say. I think it's sort of a waste, but people like Chris that, wants more for an affordable price, I mean, it's actually a good idea. So they know they'll sell them.
The latest number I can find on 3DS as of January, they were just past 65.4 million. So they've sold even more than that. So they're probably getting close to. They're probably past 70, maybe. I don't know. I mean, they've sold a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
So-
the platform is dominant,
Right.
and so it makes sense to kind of keep it around. So here, so
yeah, that's the main thing.
How long did the DS last? Like, because I know we all moved on, right? But the DS kept going for a while, didn't it? Especially the DSi.
It did.
Because
Yeah,
I remember they kept making games for it, and they kept, because they also played on 3DS, so keep making DS games.
That had multiple. That's what Nintendo does. Is just multiple. Like we probably see a new Switch design, like 2 years maybe, if not sooner.
Better,
Which
faster,
is-
blah blah blah. Yep.
Again,
feel
the
stupid
one
for buying
advantage
one.
about that is if they, as long as they continue to be backwards compatible, like that's fine. Yeah, that was the advantage when you went from GBA to DS. They played for a long time GBA games. So you had GBA games and the DS games, and that actually lasted, I believe, through the Lite. But I think it was when the DSi came out. Is
Right.
when
They took that port off the bottom. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, then like we're saying, like DS, of course, was backwards, backwards compatible for the 3DS, and so you can play those DS games. So if they continue that with Switch, I mean that just makes sense. Okay, so let's talk about that. There's pros and cons here, and so
Pros.
so in a
Writing.
there's some really good things about this. Let's start negative. Here's my big.
Said pros, and he just totally.
I know. But
Negative.
I'm actually pretty positive on this. So I have a lot more positive things to say, but so let's just start kind of with a couple of concerns that I have.
Sure.
So one of the concerns that I have right now, that I thought that we were getting away from, was the fact that they were consolidating production. And so with the Switch coming on, the thought was that because this is both a portable and home console, you're going to get all those production teams working on software of one system. Now that has been one of the problems of Nintendo of recent years, is you'll have a really strong like 3DS year, but there wouldn't be a lot on Wii U, and then you'd have like a really strong Wii U year, but then 3DS would kind of suffer because those teams kind of go back and forth, and so they're kind of trading off between the two platforms. So my hope and what I thought before this announcement was that you were going to see these teams kind of team up, and you're going to see those games now on the Switch. And we talked about things like a 2D Zelda, right? Something maybe similar to, or even a sequel to, A Link Between Worlds, and that would now come to Switch because they would be putting their handheld efforts into the Switch. Or we talked about something like the next Pokemon game,
Right.
which I want to play on my, even if it's exactly the
On
same
Switch.
2D top down, or it's 3D, but top down, same sort of graphics. It doesn't have to be like Legend of Zelda graphics, but still the same thing. But I still want to play it on Switch, and so that was my hope. This announcement, what scares me about this announcement is that I'm now afraid that we won't see those games on Switch.
Right, yeah. Some people are saying that because, I mean, as of right now, like we knew about Fire Emblem, right? We knew about Hey Pikmin and that RPG Maker. Like there's a couple.
Fire Emblem.
Yeah,
Right,
and
there's a
then
couple
and then
things.
Kirby. Yeah,
And Kirby, yeah, and like that's all we knew about because.
And I'm not buying a 3DS or 2DS.
Right.
It's not happening.
But so here's the thing, like in the back of my head, I kept thinking they're not just going to put Fire Emblem Echoes out on the 3DS to die. So in the back of my head, what I was thinking was this may get like 6 months exclusive on 3DS, and then they'll port it to the Switch. But now with this announcement, I feel like they're saying, "Nuh-uh, this isn't going anywhere. If you want to play this, you're going to have to play this on the handheld system." So with all this being said, like that's my biggest concern, is because, to be completely honest, and I agree with Josh with this, like I carry my Switch with me everywhere I go. This is in my bag. When I go to work, I take it everywhere.
He has
everywhere.
it out.
And
My
so,
goodness.
And so hi. So for me, I want to play those games there. I would buy Hey Pikmin,
Yeah.
and and I want to play it
We're
on my
getting, we're
Switch.
getting
'Cause
Pikmin
that's
4
what-
on there probably.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest concern is now if I want to play some of these games, and they haven't announced a lot, but Reggie did come out this week. I think yesterday, or maybe it was today. I saw that he made a comment on
He's
it that they actually
everywhere.
have. He is everywhere.
I
But they
am
actually
Reggie.
have new software to announce, not just for this year, but for 2018.
It'd be 25
for-
different Kirby games. It'll be
for the
fantastic.
for the 3DS, the 3DS line.
Right.
So that's my concern. So
Sure. Well-
that's go ahead.
No,
that's
go ahead.
my,
Yep.
my next. No. We'll move to pros.
Right.
but
I was gonna
that's-
say before we get into pros though, Brant, what kind of concerns would you say with this? I mean, just to kind of get your take on this, because like I said from the beginning, you were very con on this. You said this shouldn't happen. Nintendo's wasting their resources. You know, do you still? I mean, I know you're kind of coming around a little bit on it, but what are your concerns with this?
Yeah.
How do you think this is going to
Yeah,
affect your Switch?
I still think it's a bad idea regardless. But like Chris mentioned, the main concern for me is the virtual console that they're going to be hyping up for the Switch. This pretty much will probably eliminate the 3DS or 2DS lineup coming to the virtual console, which I want to play games like Fire Emblem, and I would go back and play whatever Pokemon games came out, because I haven't played one of those since the original
Yeah.
Game Boy.
And Sun and Moon's
So-
amazing, man. Really, really good.
I
All
know.
you gotta do is save
those
like
are-
$60 and buy a little doorstop 2DS, and you're good to go.
I don't like playing on the 2DS. That's the problem. I don't like this. I just don't like the system. I think it's inferior. And I
Sure.
brought up the Vita, which you
Right,
know,
go for it. Go
Chris,
on your
Chris has
Vita
a lot of
pedestal. We
cons
need to-
with the Vita, and I understand some of them. I mean, I hype it up too much. I sort of joke around about that.
Well, no, but I mean,
I
I'll say you do have
What's
your
that?
reasons for why you love the Vita. I guess real quick before we get into Switch and 3DS, compare the Vita to the 3DS. Like, why do you prefer the Vita over the 3DS?
The Vita, well, it
The
just
screen.
feels like yes, it's the screen. It feels like a premium handheld that isn't going to break,
Right.
you know, sturdy. Yeah, like the Switch. It has a wide variety of games I enjoy playing. It's an indie fiesta of games, Japanese games. It's
Indie
they're
Fiesta.
everywhere.
Oh my gosh!
We're gonna be huge with our new Telemundo spot. This is brought to you by Fiesta, Texas.
Ah. Okay.
Life again.
I'm on a
brought to you
roll.
by the Ford
Why am I-
Fiesta.
Oh my gosh!
Why am I so tongue tied?
Today
Oh jeez.
or every
My
day?
goodness. Yeah, that's
No,
everything.
so
No,
let me-
but I love
Yeah.
I love the game lineup. I love what they do with the Vita when they acknowledge that it isn't a big AAA machine like handheld console. They have new games coming out every week that are cross-buy.
Mhm.
It controls, it feels great, unlike the 3DS, which the new one I played at your house, James, felt better,
Mhm.
but it still did not feel optimized like I would want to play on my Vita. So
Honestly, this sounds terrible. I don't know where my new 3DS is right now. 'Cause I was thinking I was gonna pick it up and hold it up because the
it's
Monster
probably
Hunter.
the worst stuff.
No, I should not.
I don't know. I mean, this sounds terrible, but I haven't picked up my 3DS in who knows how long. And honestly, the only reason
don't wanna
I'm like,
play it.
the only reason I'm holding on to it, I mean, I got all the Monster Hunter games in there. I absolutely love those. But like everything
I'd
else,
love to play Monster Hunter 4. That's another
if
one.
that
And
comes,
now
and
I'm
honestly, that's got to be coming to Switch. Has to be.
I really hope.
It's
But
got.
I'm gonna be. I mean, that's just the main cons I see with it.
Sure.
Plus, I think that they're just carrying on the cycle too much. I know what they have in mind. They're trying to keep those two pillars because they have such a high attach rate
Right.
for the 3DS, so they want to keep selling the games on there, so a lot more people will have access to
Right.
them.
That's bringing them that's bringing them money, right? Because Switch
Yeah,
right now being a
it's
brand new
money.
system, I think they're breaking even because we know Nintendo doesn't like losing money, but I don't think they're really making a lot of money on Switch. So the 3DS this far out in its life cycle, it's just making them money, right? I mean,
Right.
it's probably super cheap to make. The games have been out forever, but they're still high quality games. People still buy them. You know, it's got a great attach rate, so you got to keep it rolling. But okay, Chris, I guess to kind of wrap this conversation up, here's with some pros.
Fiesta.
So this does.
Oh God.
He's still laughing about that. The
So
Indie
here's-
Fiesta.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Lord.
Go, Chris.
So
Pros.
here's what I feel like this does. Here's what I feel like this does for Nintendo. This is the final DS machine, like the 3DS machine, our Super DS. But like they're consolidating the line into one machine. So they're basically saying we're taking the 2DS, which actually has been starting to sell a lot better, especially in Europe. It's like 50-50 in Europe. So they take the 2DS, which eliminates 3DS, which makes it cheaper for them to make. And then they consolidate that with the actual form factor of the 3DS XL, which is the best form factor of that machine. And they tweak it a little bit so it looks a little newer, it looks a little nicer, and it does look very, very sleek. So they consolidate this into one machine. Now moving forward from this comes out in July. So moving forward from July, they are only going to be pushing 2 pieces of hardware. They're going to be pushing the Switch, which is a premium product, and they're going to be pushing the 2DS XL. I actually
and still 3DS XL.
I would argue they are not going to say the word 3DS ever again. I think that the idea is they want to push the 2DS as the machine going forward. They want to distance from 3DS.
Well, yeah.
And they want to consolidate to one machine. So when somebody goes to buy a machine, they're either going to buy, I want a Switch or I want a 2DS.
Right.
Like that. That's it.
Right, and the naming makes sense too. People say, "Oh, little Johnny already has a DS, right?" Oh, but this is DS2, right? I mean, it still has 2 in the title. So
it makes sense.
Yeah.
So what this does then is it does a couple things for Nintendo, and we talked about the con being that they're going to have to produce games for this, and they will if they want to push it. Which Reggie's saying they're going to push it for at least 2 more years. They're going to have to make some games for it, which is definitely a concern. But the advantage to this is you still get to. Nintendo's bread and butter has always been that they've been a family platform, and that they can attract kids because their IP are friendly for pretty much any age.
It's like Disney.
And so what this does, and we talked about this a little bit kind of together, like I'm already considering in July I will probably update not just myself, but I will probably update all 3 of the kids to this machine. And I'll trade in their current 3DSs because they don't really use the 3D that much. Their systems are getting a little bit older. These are nice, new, sleek, smaller versions of the console. They're going to run better. They're going to play better. They have Amiibo support built in. This is going to be the ultimate machine for them, and they have that. Anytime we go on a trip or whatever. I mean, we drive to Florida sometimes because that's where my family's from. Like they sit in the back and they play their 2DS now, but they're 3DS. It's just it answers that question of what are you going to give to little Johnny when he wants to play a game. You're not gonna pull off your $300 beautiful Switch off of a dock and give it to a 4-year-old to run around the backyard with, but you will do that with something like a 2DS, or in this case a 2DS XL. So I think what it does is I think that Nintendo's drawing a very interesting line that we're moving forward with 2 products, one for premium consumer, one for adults, and then one for kids. Sure. What I think is good about this is that I think that we will start seeing a turn on the Switch to more adult content, which actually could end up being something very, very cool to come out of this. Sure. And you may actually see some more mature, even Nintendo-made products that are going to find their home on a Switch. And so I think that's good. The other thing I like about it is it just looks great. Like, it looks good. Nintendo makes good hardware, and it looks really, really good. It looks like it's going to be maybe the best handheld they've made.
Now, I think Brant might disagree with that because many times he says, outside of the Switch, Nintendo products look like toys or hunks of junk. Is that right, sir?
Yeah, but like I said, your new 3DS actually was a step up.
Sure.
I hated the original 3DS and DS for that matter.
It's crazy to think of the original DS was, I don't know how we played that. I think it was like the form factor, like everything about it was horrible. The buttons were so small and crampy, and it like had a weird shape and that. But like I was thinking, like with the 3DS, I bought a black 3DS when they first came out, like the smaller ones, right? Then I upgraded to a red 3DS XL, right? Then I upgraded to a new 3DS XL, which was the Monster Hunter one, right? So I've had three. I myself have purchased 3 3DSs.
I've had 4.
That's insane.
I've
That's
had 4
why they're
because
selling so many.
you're
Because
gonna buy another
we
one.
keep upgrading them. We keep upgrading them, which is Nintendo's got us, man. I don't know how.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing though.
The balls.
Here's the thing. At $150 for something that I've invested into the ecosystem and that has quality stuff, like it's worth upgrading, you know. And it isn't like they're asking you to go, like PlayStation or like Scorpio, go drop $400 or $500 on a brand new piece of equipment. Like you're $150, $200 tops. And especially like you said, we started at day one. Like I'm a digital consumer. I think I have downloaded right now on my 3DS. I think I have like 74 3DS games.
And how many of those games still have save files? That's a story for another day. But I just want to say that tonight, Brant is on fire. With his Indie
Fire
Fiesta.
somewhere.
It is just, oh
White
my gosh.
fire.
But,
And
okay,
my
guys.
gibberish.
Brant, anything else to add to this conversation?
No, I'll just say that.
No.
Hey, let me ask you a question, Brant. If From Software announced a 2D side-scrolling Dark Souls that was exclusive to the 2DS hardware, would you buy one?
That would be insane. But I said
It'd
I
be
would buy a
called two Dark
consider
Souls
buying a
XL.
Scorpio if they brought an exclusive From Software Dark Souls game to it. So that's never out of the question if my favorite gaming series of all time comes to something.
I'll say there's still rumors it's coming here. I mean, we don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, they say
But,
they're making a game for the Switch. My money's all invested in for Nintendo and the Switch.
Sure.
I could see actually this 2DS. It'd be a good thing to buy Eli. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like the 3DS systems, but I think Eli just something simple like you said for kids. It's sort of like just the system. Hey, you can play this, go wild with it, unlike the Switch, which you want to somewhat protect,
Right.
Yeah. Hey, listen, real quick, because you kind of cut me off. I do want to say this. I do want to say this real quick. And Josh is actually playing. What I want to echo something that Josh is kind of playing at. This comes out in July. What else comes out in July that we're looking forward to?
The 4th of July.
Nope.
E3?
No, not on the 4th of July.
No, E3's June.
Splatoon 2. Splatoon 2 comes out on the 21st. A week later, the 2DS XL comes out. You would assume, and we don't know this, but you assume that we're going to get an announcement for the network system at E3, and that you would assume that network system is going to be in place at or around the launch of Splatoon 2, right? Sure. Those are safe assumptions. So if that's the assumption, what happens if they revamp the 2DS software to include that system? What happens if that has something to do with your virtual console games transferring back and forth? And what if that has something to do, because you can actually right now use your 3DS as a controller on your Wii U to play Smash Brothers.
Right.
What happens if your new 2DS actually becomes a second screen experience for Mario Maker on you know, on the Switch. I mean,
yeah, that'd be a great idea.
there could be some cool stuff.
Now-
and Nintendo has always, all the way back to Game Boy Advance and GameCube, they've always messed around with this ideas of their machines talking.
Right,
And this may
right.
actually be the time that they could make that
Sure.
happen.
Now, I mean, this could be a whole other break room discussion, but honestly, what I could see them doing now, Nintendo's really getting into the App Store, right? We got Miitomo,
Yeah.
and we got the Nintendo Parent Lock app. We got the Nintendo, whatever their online app is going to be called.
Yeah.
For something like Mario Maker, I see them probably saying, download the Mario Maker app and build your stages and send
Great.
it. I see them doing that versus going back. I mean, you never know. But, okay,
Sure.
guys, what do you think of the new 2DS XL? Is this something you would like to purchase? Is it something where you think, why is Nintendo using their resources on this? They should be using them on my Switch. But let us know what you think in the comments down below. As for Life of Gaming, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Life of Gaming Pod. We have a podcast every Sunday on iTunes, the Google Play Store, and SoundCloud. So make sure to check us out there, subscribe, and rate us. That would be awesome. But this is the end of another wonderful break room conversation, water cooler conversation in your face. But until next time, we are out.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this content from the Life of Gaming. If you like what you saw, be sure to subscribe down below. You can also catch our weekly podcast every Sunday on iTunes, SoundCloud, and the Google Play Store. You can find us on Twitter at Life of Gaming Pod and on Facebook. Until next time, we are out.